Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Jim, and today I want to tell you guys why you need to stop playing Dark Souls 3 for about a week or so. And that's because there's a new show in town. It's a technical alpha that is available right now if you own a Sony PlayStation 4 console. The name of the game is Nioh. Nioh. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, shoot me. What is this game? Well, let me tell you that it has been in development from 2005. It was originally supposed to be a PlayStation 3 launch title. You guys missed that by just a little bit, by the way. But it's finally here. At least the technical alpha is. It is made by the guys who brought you the Ninja Gaiden series. Team Ninja is involved with this. Also published by Koei Tecmo. You probably know Koei from a lot of the Dynasty Warriors games. What is this game? It's a Dark Souls-esque game that injects the hardest, most grueling elements of Dark Souls, plagiarizes really, and injects Japanese mythology. You have samurai, you have ninja, you have demons. It's Dark Souls meets Onimusha. Really, that's really what it is. So let me tell you guys a little bit about why this game is so much fun and why I think you owe it to yourself to check it out. You know, when we heard that Dark Souls 3 was it, From Software came out and said, we are done after Dark Souls 3, I think all of us collectively were a little sad. And we're very happy that Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game. I haven't done a video on it yet because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to say about it that hasn't already been said. But it's an amazing game. We're all happy that Dark Souls 3 is such a great game as like the capstone send-off into the Dark Souls universe. It was only a matter of time before somebody came along and took that tried and true Dark Souls recipe and injected it into their own series and added their own flair to it. And Nioh does it in spades. And I want to tell you guys why and what I think about it. I'm going to be doing a video on it probably later in the weekend because it's kind of hard to explain some of this, but I'm going to do the best I can. All right, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You go around and you kill enemies. They're very, very hard to kill. You die in 1 or 2 hits. When you kill them, you get a currency called Amirita. Amirita can be used on shrines or save points, similar to bonfires in Dark Souls. And you cash these in order to upgrade your character to get more strength, dexterity, luck, vitality, stamina, etc., etc. If you die before you get to a shrine, or you just die anywhere, which you will die a lot, by the way, you lose all your Amirita, and you have to go back and get it. As long as you can get it on the next life, good to go. You don't make it there in time, they're gone, it's over. You have to go and find new ones. So, very similar to Dark Souls, right? Level design, very, very similar to Dark Souls. A lot of looping paths, a lot of like, you'll see a cliff off in the distance with a ladder. You have to work your way around and kick the ladder down. And now suddenly, what took you an hour to do, you go up the ladder and boom, you're right where you need to be in the next area. So the level design is very heavily lifted off of Dark Souls. And you're probably asking yourself, well, Dark Souls 3 does all this in spades. What do I need this game for? Well, I'm going to tell you guys. It's different. There's a lot of differences, and I think that's what really sets this game apart, obviously, from Dark Souls, but it's something that I really, really enjoy. So when you load up the game, first of all, this is something new, and I don't know if this is because they're trying to understand what the flavor is for the technical alpha, or if this is something we're going to see going forward, maybe as a result of the PlayStation Neo, which may or may not come. You can choose either a 60-frame experience with lower resolution or a 30-frame experience with higher resolution. You have your choice. I've played both. You can definitely notice differences rather between the two. Things look a lot blurrier versus a lot crisper, whatever, but you get that juicy, juicy frame rate, and it's hard to pass up. So very similar to what I go through as a dual-wielding citizen of both the console and the PC master race. I can tell you guys that this is something we go through all the time on PCs, especially as your card gets older and you have to kind of juggle what's more important to you. The fact that there's an option that we could even select from it, I like it. There are times that I feel like I want to play in one mode, times I want to play in the other mode. It's there for me if I want to do it. I think that's a good move, and I hope that that continues not only in this game but other games. But I kind of feel like it's just a little crumb right now to see what people prefer to play, and they're going to code it one way or another, but we'll find out. Weapons. There are tons of weapons in this game. There are spears, there are katana swords, there are hammers, there are little ninja star type things, bows and arrows. A lot of different weapons to use. Each weapon that you use has durability, can break. You have to use repairing stones to repair your weapon back to its former glory. However, something that Dark Souls did not do, the more you use the weapon, you build up the stat called weapon familiarity, which unlocks additional combos and additional moves for that weapon. So if you really, really like katana, good news, you stick with it long enough and you're going to be rewarded for that. Now, the drawback, obviously, is if you are really good with a katana and suddenly you find the spear which changes your life, well, you're going to kind of have to start that process over. You may not be as high level up in one or the other, but what they offset that with is 3 different weapon stances. So you have a low, medium, and high stance that you could change dynamically in combat. So the high weapon stance is very powerful, slow attacks. Then you have a middle of the road, and then you have a very fast but weak attack. And depending on what weapon stance you're using is going to determine how you advance and attack different enemies. In my experience so far, yes, you can do everything and beat every enemy with every stance, but you're really doing yourself a disservice if you are fighting certain enemies with the wrong stance. And that comes with the whole trial and error element that Dark Souls is known for. And I really like that. I think that's a really cool feature in the game. It feels like when you get a weapon, you hold it differently. Your body weight shifts depending on which stance you're using. Your attacks obviously are different. There's different combos that unlock depending on which stance you're using. So it's another layer of other than strong attack, weak attack that we're kind of used to. I like that. But it definitely makes battles a lot slower. And that ties into the new stamina system that this game has come out with, Nioh. So the stamina system, you know stamina, you run around, you swing your sword, you do anything that requires any physical anything, your stamina meter is going down. Unlike Dark Souls, when your stamina meter runs out, you stop moving. You basically like heave over, put your hands on your knees, and you're like wheezing until you get back your health or your stamina so you can continue to attack. So if you're in the middle of an attack combination and you're swinging your sword, bang, 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 and you run out of stamina, that's it. You just stand there and wait now. Perfect opportunity for an enemy to counterattack you and kill you in 1 or 2 shots, which they will do. The cool thing is enemies have a stamina meter and you can see it. This is something that I hate about Dark Souls 3. When I'm standing there holding my shield, eating shot after shot after shot, wondering when the hell is this guy going to slow down, and they never ever do. The enemies in this game adhere to the same rules that you do. So they have a stamina meter. They slow down. They will gas themselves out as well. So it's every battle is almost this mini boss battle where you're really kind of like circling around each other. You know, when do you poke? When do you block? How do you engage the enemy? If I attack, am I going to lose my stamina? What if he blocks? How does that affect everything? And I like that. It's a very, very in-depth system, and it slows combat down significantly. When you're in a battle that's one-on-one, it's not so bad. When you're in a battle 2-on-1, you really, really start to hurt. But in reality, if you were in a 2-on-1 fight, you'd probably get your ass kicked. So this game kind of forces you to go a little bit slower, take your time. You have a bow and arrow. You can kind of kite enemies out. You can throw rocks at their heads and kind of slowly try to pull them one at a time to slice them down. If you are completely oblivious to the stamina system, it's okay. They've added this really cool feature that when other people die, because it is a persistent online world, their grave appears in your game. Now, not every single grave. I mean, the whole game would be littered with them because you're going to die a lot. But it's just a handful of people who've recently died in that area. It tells you when they died, who they died to, and what level they were. So you start to see all these shrines of, like, fallen warriors. And if you choose to, you can accept to, like, put them out of their misery forever. Whether they're ghosts or demons or whatever happens, you will summon them into your world, and an AI opponent of the same build that the character died as, the other human player that died, he will come into your game and he will fight you. They are so much harder than any other thing I've fought in the game. But risk and reward, when you kill these guys, you're going to get a ton of loot. You're going to get a ton of experience, Amirita, which will become experience. It's definitely worth it if you can put up that fight. And though they're fun fights because you're fighting against other people who have similar builds, they have different weapons than the other enemies may have. Maybe he had a big hammer. Maybe he was using katana, and you're using whatever. And maybe you're in an area where everybody else is like archers, and all of a sudden you got to fight this guy. It's completely optional, but it serves two purposes. One, I think it kind of paints this persistent world. You're in obviously some sort of weird hell or something. We don't have much story to go on yet, but it definitely feeds into that Dark Souls, one world, many phases of it, I guess, reality. And two, it kind of gives you like, hey, there's a lot of graves around here. Something's going to be up. And it's nice. It doesn't really ruin the game. It's like, oh, there must be an enemy around the corner, because they're very well disguised. But it's fun, and it definitely makes you feel like you're part of a bigger experience, even when you're playing on a single-player mode. When you do engage in enemy battles, I mentioned on the stamina system, you can stagger enemies back, you can knock enemies back, there's back attacks, very similar to what you would expect in a Dark Souls game. But enemies also react to their terrain, something that Dark Souls has kind of not done a very good job of in the past. If you're near a cliff and you hit an enemy, he'll like lose his balance and he'll stand on one foot and like, woo, and he'll fall over, and usually he'll die or he'll be very, very injured. And the same can happen to you. As opposed to Dark Souls, where it's like a pseudo-platform game. Yes, there is terrain. Yes, there's cliffs you go up and down and ladders and that sort of thing. This is the first time you're actually getting a sense of being in the environment. And I like that. I think that ties into the whole cat and mouse combat system. You definitely do not want to have your back to a cliff when fighting an opponent. There's a really good chance you're going to go for a ride. I like that. To help you out in combat, something that Dark Souls does not have is an animal system. You can summon one of 4 spirit animals to accompany you on your journey. And the animals do different things. Right now I'm using a bird. And there's a whole list of stats of what the bird will do. It will increase your luck, it will increase your attack speed, whatever, when you trigger it. By killing more enemies and collecting more Amirita, you build up this meter. When the meter is full, you unleash the animal within, and this giant bird kind of like flies out of your body like a spirit. And the bird that I'm using, there's like a boar, there's a dolphin, I don't know, there's 4 animals. I'm just sticking with the bird right now. For me, it gives me unlimited stamina. That's what the bird does. So I got like 10 seconds of swinging like a banshee. Well, as I just talked about the stamina system, that's pretty much God mode, right? So while enemies are turtling up, I'm sitting there just shellacking them with cut after cut, heavy attack after heavy attack, really pouring on the offense. And it's really a game changer. It's a small burst. I mean, it seems balanced somewhat. But again, it's a technical alpha, so we know things are going to change. But it really gives you that sense of like you're really unleashing this animal and you really become powerful. I love that. Another thing that this game does that Dark Souls does not do so much is the way the story is presented. So Dark Souls story is presented through items. There are some cutscenes with NPCs, but primarily it's told through items, item descriptions. And you piece together what happened in this world based on the items, and you understand that, certain characters may have been malicious because you find their spear, and that you read the description and it's very clear that they were a traitor, or this was a hero who died unexpectedly and this shield has some special perk that this shield doesn't, or whatever. This game does it a little bit differently. Yes, each item does have a general description, but when you loot items around the world, oftentimes you'll overhear ghosts. In this first town, Nioh, you're playing in this burnt down village, and you're walking through the village. You'll find people dead. You loot their corpse, because, boot to the loot, baby, right? You loot their corpse, and there'll be like a quick little overlay of like text of like, you'll hear 2 people talking, like, oh, watch out, Father, the demon's coming through the forest. And he's like, oh, I'm on it, son. And then, he's dead, but you'll look over and you'll see like the trees parted and you could see where the demon had come through. So you get those story elements built into the game. You don't have to go off and read anything else. That doesn't take away from what Dark Souls 3 does. It's just a different way of telling the story. And I think people who weren't typically that invested in trying to piecemeal things together and what happened in the story, they're just going to kind of tell you. And there is something refreshing to be said about that, in my opinion. The other cool thing is hidden around the world are these little creatures called Kodamas. They are like little green alien things. They're like little totems or something. As you go around the world and explore the map, you will collect them and you'll send them back to the shrine. As more and more come around the shrine becomes more powerful. The shrine, obviously, the bonfire of this game. And as you collect these things, the shrine becomes more powerful, and it will unlock different passives you can use in that area. So after like one of these guys, you'll get a passive that gives you 1% more gold per kill, or 1% more Amirita per kill, whatever. At 2, it does this. At 3, it does this. And you get a selection of options. It's just an overall passive ability that you will carry with you into combat. And that's a neat system. It rewards the player for exploring the world, not just in items. And Dark Souls does a great job of this too, but it's just an additional perk. On top of that, you get ninjutsu, different spells. Right now, I only have a shuriken that I can summon. Basically, it's like a mythical shuriken that I throw. Light damage, but hey, it's better than nothing. And I know there's more to it than that, but again, I'm about 7 hours in. But I really wanted to just do a quick video. I ended up going on for about 16 minutes, so whatever, about this game. And I really want to tell you guys to check it out. It's supposed to be coming out later in this year. I've seen nothing about it. I'm sure E3 will probably be a pretty big indication. I thought I've read somewhere that it was a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I don't know if it's a console exclusive. I don't know if it's a PC exclusive. But if you are a fan of Dark Souls, and if you own a PlayStation 4, you're doing yourself a major disservice for not giving this game a chance. It's difficult, but fair, rewarding, and I think you'll have a really good time with it. So I'll probably, like I said, do a video or some gameplay voiceover later in the week to show you some of the systems and some of the cool things that I've learned. Apparently also, as a bonus little Easter egg, if you do beat the technical alpha, you will unlock something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a level, if it's an armor set, whatever, when the real game comes out. So it's a little bit kind of similar to what Final Fantasy 15 did with Carbuncle. It's very similar to that, where they're going to say, hey, if you take the time to play through this game, you will be rewarded, I don't know to what level yet, when the real game comes out. And I think that's cool. It makes people want to check it out. I already wanted to check it out, but hey, free stuff, I'm all for it. So that is Nioh in a nutshell. I highly recommend you guys check it out. It is on the PlayStation Store. It is up until, I believe, May 5th. Don't quote me on that, but check it out. If you're watching this, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.